supernatural spiritual gift.
Yeah.
Maybe all of us have it, but you have been able to see it. Can you give us the first instance when you realized that you were connecting with a much larger force than what we were looking at?
That's a very interesting question. All of us have psychic abilities, and we often overlook them as, these random thoughts that pop into our heads. But when I was a child, I had the gift to see the dead. I was literally like the child from Sixth Sense. So when I was about 6, 7 years old, I had my first encounter with a spirit, and I assumed everyone around me could see them, talk to them, interact with them. So for me, as a child, I wasn't scared. I wasn't, what freaked out. I just allowed the communication to happen, and it happened to be my grandfather's brother who had passed, and I'd just gotten back from school, and my mother didn't want me to witness the funeral procession, and she said, like, just go to your room and I'll come and get you after a while. So I went to my room, and then I experienced someone holding my hand, and then I opened my eyes and I see my grandfather's brother standing there and telling me that he was waiting to say goodbye. And for me, it was just any other day sort of a thing. So I said, good luck and I'll see you soon. And then my mom comes into my room to tell me what had happened, and I just looked at her and I said, oh, that grandfather's brother just left, like he just came to say bye. And she was so stunned because
How old were you at that time?
I was about 6 or 7.
Oh my God. So when you enter a room, an unknown arena, do you see spirits around? Do you actually see people around that others can't see?
It happens most of the times. At least while I was growing up, it was rampant because I was suppressing my ability, and the ghosts didn't like that. So they would pop up everywhere, and they would play mischief, especially when I was in the media and I was staying with flatmates. The TV would come on at 3 a.m. in the morning, the lights would switch on and off, and my flatmates would know it was because of me. So that was a bit annoying. But now I can control it, I can switch it on and off so that I don't get disturbed all the time, because then I would have everyone showing up here, like including, the cameraman's ancestors, and they would all need to get their messages out. So it is something that I need to channel and control it so that I'm not overwhelmed all the time. So I have business hours for my ghost.
Hello, I'm Meenamma. I'm a storyteller and a trainer, and I wish to share my chats with inspirational people around me on varied topics of global interest with the hope that my audience may design a better life from these episodes. Each talk is meant to be an inward journey. Come travel with me today to meet an extraordinary human being in my studio. But do watch this episode till the end and subscribe to Meet Meenamma on YouTube, Instagram, and other handles. I will also be putting out short clips and exciting reels on this episode for you to get valuable insights in lesser time. I need your help to grow. Do hit the subscribe button immediately, and remember, I will always thank you. Welcome to today's podcast. Today, we have the incredible Teja Priyadarshini, a seasoned media professional with over 15 years of experience. After a profound realization about her untapped spiritual gifts, Teja made a bold decision to leave a successful career behind. She felt a powerful calling to harness her natural healing abilities to support those navigating trauma, sadness, stress, or feeling of just being stuck. Teja has dedicated herself to extensive training and certifications in various healing modalities, including the QHHT, Beyond the Quantum Hypnosis, Akashic Records, Access Consciousness, Tarot, amongst many. With a commitment to providing the best for her clients, Teja's sessions are enriched by the wisdom of a guiding team of light beings who channel insights from the Akashic Records. Additionally, Teja channels the potent energies of the goddess Durga and Ma Kali during her healing sessions, adding a unique and deeply spiritual dimension to her work. So, ladies and gentlemen, join us as we explore her journey and the transformative power of healing. Hi Teja, how do you feel with Meenamma today?
Thank you so much for having me today. I'm really excited to share my story with whoever is watching us today.
You must be one of the youngest people on the Meenamma show, and I'm so happy because it's not about age, it's about what you bring to the table, Teja. I know you've had a very lucrative corporate life, but you gave it all off. You're the monk that sold the Ferrari.
Yes, so to speak.
So, and at the end of it all, you reached a level of soul penetration, finding your strength in healing. Now, healing is a very big word in today's connotation.
True.
How did you reach the space of healing, Teja?
I think my journey started when I was really young, when I realized that I was one of the weird kids who could see things that nobody else could see and know things that nobody else could know. And I was ridiculed, made fun of all of my life growing up. So I decided that I want to be somebody who's got a job, who's got a proper education, and not one of the woo woo candidates. But the guides had other plans for me, and I went through a lot of turbulent time in my life, which ultimately led me to the path that I'm on today, which is to help those who are lost, who feel they're not connected with the people around them or with even their life or with themselves. And I hope to find that connection for them through letting their limiting beliefs dissolve and also through healing their wounds from their childhood and any sort of trauma they could have gone through.
You have a supernatural spiritual gift.
Yes.
Very few people, I mean, maybe all of us have it, but you have been able to see it. Can you give us the first instance when you realized that you were connecting with a much larger force than what we were looking at?
That's a very interesting question. All of us have psychic abilities, and we often overlook them as, these random thoughts that pop into our heads. But when I was a child, I had the gift to see the dead. I was literally like the child from Sixth Sense. So when I was about 6, 7 years old, I had my first encounter with a spirit, and I assumed everyone around me could see them, talk to them, interact with them. So for me, as a child, I wasn't scared. I wasn't, what freaked out. I just allowed the communication to happen, and it happened to be my grandfather's brother who had passed, and I'd just gotten back from school, and my mother didn't want me to witness the funeral procession, and she said, like, just go to your room, and I'll come and get you after a while. So I went to my room, and then I experienced someone holding my hand, and then I opened my eyes and I see my grandfather's brother standing there and telling me that he was waiting to say goodbye. And for me, it was just a any other day sort of a thing. So I said, good luck and I'll see you soon. And then my mom comes into my room to tell me what had happened. And I just looked at her and I said, oh, that grandfather's brother just left, like he just came to say bye. And she was so stunned
How
because
old were you at that time?
I was about 6 or 7.
Oh my God! And you had seen him actually
Yes.
leaving his body.
Yeah, so he was in the soul form
Ah.
and he came to say goodbye. He was waiting for me to come back from school to say bye to me. So it was one of those experiences that left my family thinking I had a very vivid creative imagination, but somehow they couldn't explain the information that I would know from the spirits on the other side. So, growing up, it was a very common thing for me to see people who've passed over. So, most of the souls that we call ghosts are just us humans without bodies, and most of them don't even know that they're dead. So they wander about trying to find someone they can communicate with so that they can help them transition to the other side. And I think one of my earliest abilities was to help them transition. And I didn't know I was doing that consciously. I was just doing it innately. It came to me like how walking would come to a child. It was just inbuilt. It was one of those abilities that I didn't know was an ability. I just thought it was part and parcel of everyone's life.
So what does it mean? It means that like for your grandfather, saying goodbye, have a good journey. Was that a statement that he needed from you at that time, or was that your role in the entire puzzle?
He was quite attached to me as a child. He would play with me, and he saw me grow up. So I think for him it was closure more than it was for me. So he wanted to see me one last time before he left. And I think that was what it was all about. So most of the spirits that are stuck in our plane usually have a message that they would want to give to their loved ones, or some unfinished business that they have in this world that is still haunting them. So they cannot transition because they are so stuck in the 3D or the heaviness of our density. Once they leave, they usually have this light appear, which we all know from movies, the gateway to the other side. And during this time, there are people or loved ones on the other side who come and welcome you into the afterlife. But if you refuse to go, then it's a choice that you need to make to find yourself back home. Home is in the afterlife. It is
Yeah,
not
this
here.
is not here.
Yeah, it's we are just in a school learning our lessons so that we can then finally graduate and go back home.
So we are actually guests on the planet Earth.
Yes.
Home is somewhere else.
Yes, home is where we all come from, and that is why when a lot of people, when they have near-death experiences or they have a glimpse of the afterlife, they don't want to come back, and then they're asked to like come back because it's not time yet, or they
Yes.
haven't finished the mission or their purpose in life, so they're pushed back into the bodies. And it often happens when you go through transcendental healing therapy sessions as well. You experience that for like a few moments, and you realize that you're so much bigger than this body and this character that you're playing here on earth.
Coming to transcendental meditation and healing, that is your strength. In fact, I think Dolores was the first person to talk about quantum healing, and maybe you were also inspired, like many other people in the world, and you took up this healing process. But transcendental healing is your strength, is what I understand. Tell
Yes.
us more about this particular type of healing.
So my journey also started with healing. I had gone through a very traumatic experience, and it made me understand that whatever spiritual gifts I was suppressing were the ones that I needed to actually utilize so that my life would flow more easily. Whenever people come to me and say, I feel stuck, I can't move forward, they are doing something that is not in alignment with their highest good or to their soul's purpose. So that feeling of stuckness can only be alleviated if you are able to just go with the flow of what your soul wants to do. And when I decided that, I need to stop and reevaluate my entire life, my work, and I came across Dolores Cannon, and she was a life changer for me because her technique, quantum hypnosis healing technique, that technique has changed many lives over the past, I don't know, 50 years
Yes.
and even more. And she had perfected that technique over multiple trial and error methods. And I was fortunate enough to do her course.
Oh, you actually went through the course?
Yes, I did. I got certified in quantum healing hypnosis technique,
Wonderful.
QHHT for short, and I've done a couple of levels in that course. And I met a lot of wonderful souls around the world who were all different healers, different people with different psychic abilities and healing abilities. So for me, it was like an eye opener. And I saw a lot of people channeling information from higher beings. And I was very fascinated by that. I wondered what they were channeling, who they were channeling, and what information that was coming through, if it was even true or not. So, through my quantum hypnosis sessions, I suddenly unlocked that ability to channel information. I was doing it all my life, but I didn't realize it till I had one of the sessions where the channeling kind of became even more clearer, and I was abruptly sprouting information at random people on the road, and I had to learn how to channel that or control that, because by then I started feeling the presence of my guides who are here with us today. There are three of them that I feel their presence very strongly, and they're my guides that help me on a day-to-day basis, and they are constantly giving me information and talking to me and telling me how to handle things. And they started becoming more clear. So I became more clairaudient, which is the psychic ability of hearing things. I was already clairvoyant, so I could see things before they happened, but this was a different ability, and I got a little spooked when this happened.
Yes.
So as time went on, they kept telling me that I needed to start teaching people the technique that would allow others to connect with the energies that are and receive information. So, to channel my abilities, I learned Akashic Records. I got certified in that as well. And that was when my guides told me that it was time for me to create a method of Akashic Records that gave people a direct connection to the Akasha so that they can also receive information to help them with their day to day. And soon they started developing a hypnosis technique for me, which includes quantum hypnosis, it's a part of it, um, to get people into those hypnotic states much faster and much quicker without putting them to sleep. Because usually the hypnosis sessions or even clinical hypnosis induction processes are extremely long. But this particular method that they had given me was a mishmash of other methods and healing techniques that put people under very quickly and took them into the quantum levels very fast so that the healing could start. So the transcendental healing therapy was something that I had channeled by my guides who kind of broke it down into 4 parts. It's done over 4 weeks, and each session will delve deeper and deeper into the person's psyche and unlock all of their limitations and release them from their blocks. So it also involves something called entity release, because most of us, when we get into vulnerable situations like accidents or surgeries or heartbreaks, we become very vulnerable with our energies, and entities can easily latch on to us.
The negative ones?
Yes, and they tend to feed off of that energy. So if you have lost a loved one and you're grieving that person, an entity around you could latch on to that grief and feed off of it, and making you feel even more sad, even more depressed. And no matter what you do, you can't somehow come out of that loop. And this was very interesting when I got certified in SRT, which is Spirit Releasement Technique as well. So I incorporated all of these different techniques in transcendental healing that allows you not to just clean out your emotional issues and your physical issues through quantum hypnosis, but also to release any energetic blocks or entity attachments you might have in your other bodies, which are your astral bodies and your auric field, which made people just quickly transform their lives. And the last part of this, which is very, very new, and I don't know how many people do this around the world, but this is something called changing your soul's blueprint. So when you take birth, you choose your character, and then you go into the blueprint station, because the soul doesn't have any emotions. So the soul goes into this blueprint station, and say if it's playing the character of Teja, will pick
The
qualities
wow.
and imprint it on itself before it takes the birth.
So we actually have a choice that
Yes.
before we come down?
Yes, absolutely. Till the moment you enter the physical body of the baby, you have a choice whether you want to go through with that life or not. Because there are so many souls that want to have a physical experience. And if you say, like, I don't want to go, last minute, somebody else will take over that body and have that experience. But we do choose our parents. We do choose the kind of life that we want to have. The certain milestones in our life are already pre-decided by us, which we call destiny. A lot of people say, oh, this was destined to happen.
But you know, we always believe that we had no choice about our parents. So you're now telling me that we actually chose our parents.
Yes, we choose our parents because our parents have something to teach us and we have something to teach them. So by choosing our parents, we are making a conscious choice of going through the process of life in a physical body, because there are a lot of emotions involved when you come into the physical. When you're in the spirit form, you really don't have too many emotions except unconditional love. So when you come into a physical body, you are then experiencing all these varied emotions that fulfill all of your life lessons. So it is not that we are physical beings having a spiritual experience, but we're actually spiritual beings having a physical experience.
Having a human relationship.
Yes.
Wow, wow, it's amazing. So we are on a human journey, but we are actually spiritual beings.
Yes.
Teja, now I come to a very interesting part. I think I always discuss this past life regression.
Yes.
You actually do sessions where you take people back to a hurting moment.
Yes.
And there have been great masters who have done, years of, especially medical doctors who didn't understand and scientifically could not prove that this was actually a truth. But, with time and again, we've been, tell us about past life regression, how we will know that who we were last birth. So for that, we should believe in reincarnation.
Not necessarily. I have a lot of left brainers, like I would call them, because most people um, have. It's easy for people to believe about reincarnation and past lives, but there are some who are very logical minded, who live life black and white. So for them, they need proof. So for past life regression, my inspiration was Dr. Brian Weiss.
Yes.
He was like, when I was young, like I said, I was a weird kid. So I would read a lot about the occult and psychology. And my aunt is a psychotherapist, so I had access to a lot of psychology books, and got certified in certain, methods in psychology. So Brian Weiss was the one who inspired me to understand what past lives were, and I would experiment on my friends when we went out on trips. And it was so easy for me to take them into the past life regression, which then became like a fascination for me to understand how this works. So when I dug in deeper, it's basically, when you are receiving information about this room, your entire brain is computing 200 million bits of information in a second. But your conscious mind is only able to process 243 bits of information. So the 200 million bits of information is being stored in our subconscious mind, whereas your conscious mind is only processing that small
Small
number.
bit.
So, what you're actually witnessing is much more than you can actually compute in your mind. So, that information that is stored in the subconscious starts to kind of churn and do analysis, and it does, it plays out scenarios in your dreams and such to kind of make you understand how you can solve your problems in your day-to-day life. So that information is very valuable, and when you go into any sort of regressive state in hypnosis, you're able to access that subconscious mind. So whether you want to call it a past life, I like to believe it because I'm a
Yes.
I've seen it and I've experienced it differently than most people. But for those of you who are logical and left brained, you can just think of it as information that your mind or your
Has
brain
kept,
has,
which have
which is
not
throwing
is being
out.
processed.
Yeah, and it is throwing out to you as a story that you can have access to, which has information in that would help you process your current lifetime. So whether you look at it as another lifetime, or you look at it as information from this lifetime that your brain is making up a story and putting it out subtly to you, information is
Is the
information.
information.
Yeah, so you take it, you do whatever with it, and it gets better. There is also a concept where time doesn't exist. So your past lives are happening right now, and so is your future. So if you look at it, it kind of goes into quantum physics a little bit,
Yes.
where everything is happening simultaneously and time is linear. So you can't really. It's just a measurement that you use to measure things in on Earth. So once you take away that, everything is happening all together in the same moment. So say if you've had a life where you were a queen in another lifetime, and a future life where you're a cyborg, all of that is happening now. So you have access. When you go into the theta level of brainwave state, you have access to that information, which is a very small window between the sleeping state and the deep meditation state. And that is the state where I work in. And when we have access to that state, you have also access to the collective consciousness. And the collective consciousness includes that of ascended masters, of angels, of deities, of your ancestors. So they all come through with whatever experiences they've had to share that information with you so that you can better your life and heal your traumas.
So tell me, so when you enter a room, an unknown arena, do you see spirits around? Do you actually see people around that others can't see?
It happens most of the times. It, at least while I was growing up, it was rampant because I was suppressing my ability, and the ghosts didn't like that. So they would pop up everywhere, and they would play mischief, especially when I was in the media and I was staying with flatmates. The TV would come on at 3 a.m. in the morning, the lights would switch on and off, and my flatmates would know it was because of me. So that was a bit annoying. But now I can control it, I can switch it on and off so that I don't get disturbed all the time, because then I would have everyone showing up here, like including, the
Yeah.
cameraman's ancestors, and they would all need to get their messages out. So it is something that I need to channel and control it so that I'm not overwhelmed all the time. So I have business hours for my ghosts, so they can come and visit me in those particular
So do you
minutes.
create a bubble around yourself that they can't touch you normally unless you let them in?
So I don't, it's not like a seance where I call the spirit into this realm, which I think is not required. I have access to their realm. So I just open a portal in my mind to get information from them. So I don't disturb the spirit world unless they're right here with me. Like if they're in my zone, then I have access to them directly. But if they are in their own zone in the afterlife, then I don't really, because I get a lot of people asking me about their loved ones on the other side who've passed on, who've moved on also into the afterlife, and they want to know some messages or guidance, or just they just need some closure. This happened during the pandemic a lot. A lot of people wanted to know, what was going on, and so then I realized I can actually communicate with them without bringing their essence here.
Yeah.
So in that way, we don't disturb the spirits.
But tell me, do you have any client experiences that you would like to talk about?
Oh, absolutely. So many. In fact, with transcendental healing or the quantum hypnosis sessions that I do, there was one time where I had a client who had lost her brother. He was a pilot. And the Air Force just told them that the plane went down and nobody survived. But her parents refused to believe that he was dead, and they didn't perform the last rites, and they were waiting for him to come back home. Um, but the sister believed that he was gone, but she didn't know what happened or how the plane went
No
down
closure.
or what happened. So I had to put another client under who didn't have any information about her brother, because she was in such an agitated state. I could not put her under hypnosis. So I put
So a third
somebody,
party.
yes, I put a surrogate under who had absolutely no idea about
The
who I was
person.
talking about. And through her, I had received information about how the plane crashed, what malfunctioned, how many were on board, what happened to him, and his original name. I didn't know his actual name because the client had used a pet name.
Pet name.
So
And
I
was it right, the name that you uttered?
yeah, so when my surrogate client was giving me information, I began wondering if she was making it up. But when I went back and I said this is what I received from the client, my the sister was very, like, she was shocked because she said nobody knows
His
all
real
these
name.
details, and that he has curly hair and he looks like this. Nobody described him like that. And then much later, his wife, he was survived by his wife and kids. So she came for an Akashic Records reading, and she wanted to know what happened before the plane crashed, where he was. And she had some information about it because she knew where her husband was going. So I went through his records and got this information for her where he was before the plane crashed. And she was absolutely stunned. She said, nobody knows that information except for me. And there were specific, so there are specific things that only she and her husband knew, like the date he proposed to her, which I, through him, related to her, saying that he wants you to remember that date. And she was so stunned about it. And for me, these moments give me great pleasure because it's like, you've seen the
You've
movie
been very
Ghost.
helpful. Yes, yes, yes. Very
Like,
true.
I feel like Whoopi Goldberg. So
Yeah, I
it's
mean,
fun.
what an amazing movie and so much truth in it. Tell me,
Yeah.
have you ever been a medium?
I have. So I am a psychic medium, and I had this American client once whose husband went missing, and she had no clue about where he was or what he did. But 6 months later, the cops called her and said that they found a body, and she didn't know what happened because they were supposed to leave together that day. They had tickets booked, and he just said, "I'm going to go out for a walk," and he never came
Came back.
home. So she didn't know what happened from that moment to when they found his body. So she didn't tell me that the cops had given her some information about how they found the body. So I kept telling her that I was feeling this, cold, wet feeling, and I feel like I'm lying on some metal surface which is very cold. And she asked me if it was the morgue. I said, no, it's not the morgue. It's like when he died, he was on something cold. And then I realized that he had died in somebody's trailer. And she asked me if there was foul play involved. I said there was, but it wasn't intentional. It wasn't like that person planned to murder him,
It just happened.
but it just happened that he was given something to ingest, which he took and then had a very bad reaction to it, which led to a heart attack, and he passed on at that moment. And the trailer didn't belong to either of the parties there. So it was a completely new trailer, and it belonged to someone else completely. And the person absconded the scene because he was probably high and didn't want anything to do with the dead body. So he just left without getting any help. And probably, had he had help, he would have probably survived. But in that way, it was kind of like a murder situation. And then she came back and she told me that the cops told her the exact same thing, that there was somebody else there, and the stuff that they found was not, it didn't belong to either of them. It was a brand new trailer. And the reason they found the body was because the owner of the trailer decided to finally sell it, and that was when they discovered the body, which was like 3 months later. But he had died 3 days later. The moment he left, he got involved with somebody, and then they took him somewhere. And there were a lot of details which I don't know if I can reveal,
No,
but
that's okay.
it was one thing led to the other, and he was discovered finally after 3 months. And it was so shocking because they didn't know who it was. There was no identification on him. So the wife only got to know about it another 3 months later. So it took her 6 months to find her husband. But she did receive messages from him. There was a particular song that kept coming up over and over again. So I said, does this mean anything to you? And she was like, oh my God, this is the song that my husband and I dance to all the time. And I said, he wants you to know that's him. Like every time that song comes on the radio, or if you can see particular flowers outside of your window, that's him telling you that he's there. So I mean, for her, it was like connecting the dots, and that kind of gave her a lot of closure.
Tell me, Teju, as we are talking, what is this strange sound in my right ear? I'm hearing something.
Yeah, so usually when you hear high pitched sounds, that is because either my guides are working on you or your guides are working on you. So when you hear these high pitched sounds, you are basically, your psychic ability of clairaudience is coming online.
It's like a radio frequency.
Yeah, it's like when you switch on the TV, and in the older days when there were lines coming on, there would be one high frequency sound. It sounds somewhat like that. Some people might feel like it's tinnitus or something like that. That sound in the ear. It can keep growing louder and softer, and sometimes it can feel like you're underwater, like when your ears get blocked. So whenever this happens, it's usually your guides trying to tune in your frequency. You could be clairaudient, because I know you did mention a couple of times you heard stuff.
But I need to ask you something which is not in my textbook. It's out of syllabus.
That's
Someone's
all.
asked me to ask you about dragonfly.
So dragonflies are basically spirit animals. So a lot of animals that are around us have certain things that they would like to teach us. Whether it's an eagle or an owl, or even if it's a snake or a rat, it doesn't matter. Every animal, if you keep seeing it repeatedly, it's trying to tell you something about your life that you're not paying attention to, or something that you need to be. So dragonflies are very delicate creatures. So maybe if the person who's seeing the dragonfly is in her masculine or in his masculine a lot, the dragonfly is asking to balance it out, because the dragonfly has both the masculine and the feminine energy in it. And it's also something that is free spirited. So if you are trying to box yourself in, or if you're trying to put yourself in a mold and say, no, I need to do this because it's my responsibility, or I need to, provide for my family because it's my responsibility, the dragonfly is telling, ease up, have more fun, like just let go, like just flutter about, and not be so hung up on things.
These light beings that you who connect with you
Yes.
and give you these akashic moments, how do you connect with them? I mean, is there something that you use to connect with them, especially during your healing? How do they help you? Now they're there with you always,
Yes.
but when you need to heal, do they come to you and tell you that this is now time? Because now you're a professional, so
Yes.
you're paid to do it. But sometimes you're not paid, or somebody can't afford to do it, but that message is going out. Go
Yes.
help that person, whether they pay you or not. So do you listen to these voices when what they tell you to do?
Absolutely, because my entire business is created by them. Even how much I charge people is they decided. And I still struggle sometimes and negotiate with them because they want me to charge more. And I think I have a limitation still with regards to asking people for more. So they keep challenging me in that way. So everything that they say, I usually follow. When it comes to people and healing, when I see clients, they show me what else is happening behind their words. So they may be saying some things to me, but I will be sensing their life, their experiences that might have led them to this moment in their life where they're feeling stuck. So then I ask the relevant questions because I can't blatantly say, oh, this is what they're saying, so please change. Because change is a choice. Unless you choose to change, you cannot change. You cannot change someone else, but only yourself. So when I ask the relevant questions, it allows my clients to think about information that might have happened during those experiences or during those traumatic events, and they look at it from a different perspective. And that is one of the subtle ways that my guides get involved to help change them. During, say, entity release technique that I do as part of my transcendental healing, they usually come in when there are entities that are difficult to get out or negotiate with them in a way that they understand that they're not supposed. So we have some universal laws, and these entities need to follow that. So there are different types of entities. One are, of course, earthbound spirits, which are the human. They, when they die, they somehow get stuck here. Then you have the darker energies, which are these malevolent forces that are, they don't want you to shine your light bright, so they try
To
to,
suppress you,
yeah,
is it?
suppress you. So they have certain specific agendas. And the other kinds of entities are elementals. So elementals are earthbound spirits again, but they are like pixies and magical creatures. It could be animal spirits as well that get attached to you sometimes. And the fourth kind are the aliens, the ETs. Believe it or not, they have a lot vested in us. They're always watching us. And recently, I had channeled information from an ET commander, and I was in his spaceship, and the entire fleet of ships were just watching Earth. Like they were just outside of our Earth, and they're just waiting to land because we are going to have direct contact or communication with them in the next couple of years. Starting from 2026 onwards, they have told us that a lot more information will come out where we're going to be communicating with them. And by in the next 10 years or so, they'll be like walking amongst us, so they want to prepare us for it, and they do channel sometimes through other mediums as well.
Tell me now, this recently we had this Air India disaster and 242 people died. If you channelize your energy, would you be able to communicate? See, there are many people on the internet who are talking about what could have possibly happened, and each one's individually. But did you try to do that, because it was so many people going down at one time? Why did
Yes.
they all have to go down like that?
Interesting question. You can ask this about the Holocaust as well, because when people die in groups or in masses like that, all of their souls are connected, and before they incarnate in physical bodies, they all decide this is the way they're going to die.
So did they all commit a common crime?
It's not a crime, it is an experience for the living. See, for example, when the Holocaust happened, it impacted the entire world. A lot of things changed because of their deaths. So now, when these group of people died recently, and it's very unfortunate, and my heart goes out to everyone who was on that plane, um, it is at a soul level, it is because they all decided to leave on that same day. And it happened during the pandemic as well. When all the souls decided to go out, there's a lot of changes going on our planet, energy wise. And because of that, a lot of people or souls are being given tickets to exit if they don't want to be part of the drama, because the drama is starting. or it already has started and it's only going to
Yeah.
get worse. So these people on the plane,
Yeah.
when they died, a lot of it impacted a lot of people watching that incident, and it changed a lot of dynamics. A lot of new information came to light. These planes having faulty mechanisms has been going on for many decades, but nobody paid attention to it because it was very easy for people to, like,
Yeah, to pass.
just, yeah, just pay a bribe and get over that. But now it's going to get even more strenuous. The examination of aircraft,
But
planes,
you
trains.
realize there was a cascade. Every other day, the same thing's happening on the same kind of airline. I mean,
Yes.
what does it mean? Suddenly, an Air India flight, a Boeing, falls, and then in the next few days, you see one in Japan, you see one in Indonesia. It's like a cascade.
Yes, but I think it's a little bit of a sensitive, like they're telling me what it is, but I feel like I might get into trouble with Boeing if I give you that
Sure, sure.
information. But it is something to do with their policies and how certain people overlooked certain things because it was cheaper.
Yeah, okay.
And it was also like it's not like the whole of Boeing, it's just select few. And I think I don't want to get into the details because again, like they're telling me like you can, but if you do go in deeper, then it might just open a worm of cans.
Yes, yes.
Um, but let's just put it that way. Like it's just that it's not just with the Boeing. If you notice that there have been train crashes, there have been
Yeah.
uh, buses that crashed
Yes.
recently. From the beginning of this year, there's been a lot of devastation, earthquakes, volcanic eruptions in places that have never seen volcanic eruptions before, like some parts of Europe and Indonesia. It's just it's a lot going on. The earth is like kind of stretching itself and saying like I want to change now. I'm not going to take what's going on top of me
So is it
anymore.
eliminating the ones that she doesn't want now?
Yes, but it is also in accordance with the souls that are choosing to leave. Earth will never harm anyone, okay? And the souls that are going in these, these natural calamities or in these unfortunate accidents have all made contracts with the energies of Earth. So
Okay.
Earth is a sentient being. It has its own consciousness and it works like a human. The human is also sentient being. We have our own consciousness. We can think. We can choose. Earth is also like that. So when these souls have made that contract, Earth is now kind of, I don't want to say shedding her fleas, but it feels like the lot of souls are leaving because they don't want to be part of this transformation that's coming
Like
up.
what is coming? So is
Yeah.
there something bad coming up?
It's not bad, it's all good. But there will be more calamities, there would be more earthquakes. In fact, I did a recent channeling where we got all of this information. I did one in Jan actually, but I didn't put it up on YouTube. Um, I was telling I have a group of people but where I channel to, and I was telling them how there are going to be more earthquakes and there is also tsunami that is probably,
Yeah.
I'm sure everyone would have heard of the famous Japanese,
Yeah, yeah.
psychic who was talking about the tsunami in Japan. Um, Luckily or unluckily, it did not happen. It was supposed to happen before the 5th of July, but it didn't happen. But there were multiple earthquakes, and we don't know yet
What the
what it's
reason
going
was,
to
correct?
lead to. There could be tsunamis, there could be earthquakes, there could be a lot of flooding. That was what I was seeing for the rest of the
You're
year.
seeing water.
Yeah.
Now tell me, what are the cultural influences? You talk about Ma Kali and Durga. As an Indian, it resonates with you because you've seen them as powerful women and also, having the dark forces with them. How do Kali and Durga channelize through you?
So I'm not a religious person, and my family also hasn't been very religious growing up, and we never had pictures of deities around the house. And I didn't realize that there were so many different deities till I was about 16, 17 years old. Even though I celebrated all the different festivals, I somehow, like, my brain just didn't understand that there were different
Deities.
deities. Then I started having visions of Durga, Ma Durga, and I didn't know who that woman was. So I went to my grandmother and I said, "Oh, this happened, and this lady came in and she said this, and the next minute I feel like all my sins are washed away." And she told me, like, "Are you talking about, Ma Durga?" And I said, "Who is she?" And she's like, my grandmother explained to me how she looked and what her role was as a warrior goddess. And then I saw her again. And this time she gave me information about what's going to happen next. And I was like, okay, this is interesting. But I was still a skeptic. I didn't want to believe that I was being visited by goddesses. And then when I was seeing entities everywhere, I had a meltdown when I was 26. I was on my rooftop and it was raining, I remember very vividly, and I just screamed to the gods. I said, just make this stop. I can't keep seeing entities everywhere. It's disturbing me, you know. And then that night I had a vision of Ma Kali for the first and last time. And she was amazing. I mean, her force, the way she came through, and she just held me like a baby throughout the night. And the next day I woke up, the fear, everything just vanished. And even the entities kind of didn't show up as much as they were showing up before that. And now, when I was in Bali recently, I was with a healer, a Balinese healer, and she was doing a healing session on me. And so my friends had gone before that. And the moment she started, they all kind of fell onto the bed, semi conscious, and she was working on them. But the moment she started working on me, my entire body became very heated, and I started speaking in a voice that was mine but felt much more
Deep.
authoritative. And
Yeah.
and
Your
the voice
personality
was,
changed.
yeah, the voice was, my eyes were closed, funnily, but I could see the entire room and the healer. And then I was telling her, I said, in that voice, which was Ma Durga's and Ma Kali, both of them came together, and they were asking her what she was doing to me, because they were so protective about me. They didn't want her to just open up my energy fields and do something with it. So then she was surprised because she also recognized the feminine energy of the goddesses. And so she started communicating with them, and it went like a three-way conversation. Like, I could hear them because I was still present in the body, but I was talking in a way that was probably
Alien.
not the way I would normally
Alien.
speak.
Yeah.
And I was in command, which felt like very different, because usually when I speak, I am confident, but the kind of command that I felt in my body was very different. And I was telling her what needed to be released in order for me to channel them better. And then that healer was asking me why I was resisting them so much, like why I was not letting them come through. And in India, you see all these people, right? When they have these
Yeah,
goddesses
yeah, yeah.
coming on, they behave
Yeah,
differently.
behave differently. You mean that's true? It happens that way?
Yeah, because their bodies can't take that kind of frequency
So
that
that's why they
comes
shake
through.
so
Yeah,
vigorously.
yeah,
Oh.
because the bodies are not calibrated. So, but when they come through me, I don't move like that. But I'm scared that if I allow them to come through completely, they are going to,
Take over.
yeah, no, they're going to make me look like one of those crazy women. So, but then they told me that that was not the case. They've been working on my body to calibrate it to take on their energies. So after that, when I do healing sessions, it's very intuitive. Like, I don't have a name for the method of healing, but if, say, somebody is in pain, I can just pull the pain out of that person's
So you know
body.
exactly what to do now.
Yeah. And when that happens, I've done this for like some random person's husband who was having severe neck pain. And I said, look, I don't know what I'm doing, but the goddesses are here and they want me to do this. I just said the word goddess, I didn't specify anybody. And when I was doing it, that man started folding his hands and, praying like as if I was the goddess doing it for him. And then he told me, like, your touch felt like Ma Durga. And he was a Bhairava Bhakt, so he felt the energies of Kali and Durga together, combined. And he doesn't know that. Like, I've not told anybody about that. So for me, it was like a confirmation. And the guides have a very interesting way of confirming they're with you. They tell you all these things through other people. So
Tell
it's
me, you're
very.
talking about this female, feminine energy. It's now it's like a cult to do tantric healing. And it's very sensual kind of a healing. And many foreigners, especially I see a lot of Americans, Russians, getting into this cult healing. So the group of people with candles and they use the yoni power. What is all this? I mean, it sounds very exciting,
Yes.
sensually exciting, and people are looking at them. So they have amazing number of followers and they charge a bomb for sessions. But what is this tantric healing?
So, Tantra in itself is a very beautiful modality which has been misconstrued by a lot of people, and it has had a bad reputation over the years because most people who practiced Tantra focused only on the sexuality aspect of it. But Tantra basically is the deep connection that you have with your own physical body, because the physical body, apart from our soul, has its own consciousness. The body it's like a living breathing antenna. It picks up information and gives it to us. So when we're walking on the road, if somebody's following us, how do you know?
That chill feeling.
Yeah,
Okay.
you feel like something is wrong, and then you look around and then you like, okay, there's somebody following us, and that's your body's way of conducting itself
Warning you.
for you. So basically, you are not the body because you are renting the body for this stipulated amount of time. So the body doesn't belong to you, and that is why a lot of times when people kill themselves, that is the only sin that is not allowed on the other side. Okay, it doesn't mean that
Because
you
then
go
that body
around
never belonged to them.
yeah, and it doesn't mean that you go around,
Yeah, yeah.
hurting yourself or other people, but it is looked at as a sin, you know. So then you go through an entire process of like disconnecting from that feeling. So Tantra is making you understand how your body works, the kind of magic it has, and how to use the energy of the body to manifest whatever you want in your life. So when they talk about creating through sexual energy, it's because as women, we have a lot of sexual energy because we're portals. We're portals for human life to come through.
Correct.
So when we use that energy through our yonis, which is basically the
Yes.
female reproductive parts, we are able to manifest whatever we want in our reality, whether it is becoming a billionaire or like a healer or whatever else you have in your mind. That energy that courses through our body is what we learn to harness through Tantra. Okay, and I have had friends who practice Tantra on a regular basis who tell me this, like whenever they hear people talking about, oh, I've had orgies and I've done this and I've
Yeah.
done, it's not
That's not
what
the
Tantra
version.
is.
Yeah.
It's not. And it also involves a lot of chanting, it involves a lot of meditation, it involves discipline. It's very rigorous. It's not for everyone to do. And unfortunately, the West kind of focuses only on the sexual part of it, and they have connected that to Kama Sutra, and it's just blown out of
Out of
proportions. Yeah.
proportion. Tell me, you mentioned ghosts in passing. What is the difference between a ghost and an angel?
So there are higher frequency beings that are available to all of us, and each of us, from the time of conception till our death, we are assigned a higher frequency being to guide us along our way. So we're
Like a buddy?
yeah, like a guide, right? So there is a guide for everybody on this earth, whether you're the most evilest person or you're the saint. Everyone has one particular soul, a higher frequency being that is guiding them through whatever it is that they need to learn. Because when you take birth, you are already pre-planning your life. You're like, okay, this is going to happen to me, that is going to happen to me. But the in between parts where you can make a choice, you can choose freely whether you want to go this way or that way. The guide is one that allows you to make those choices for your highest good.
It's not the conscience.
The conscience is uh, everywhere. Like it's like ether. It's all around us right now. So when your consciousness and my consciousness merge, that is what we call the collective consciousness.
Correct.
So whatever information you may have about certain things, I can have access to it if I can just tap into that, right? So the guide is helping me form that bridge.
Wonderful.
So the guide is telling me what is in my highest good and what I should be doing. Of course, we have a free will. We live in a free will planet, so we have free will to choose whether or not to go ahead with it. That's a different thing. And a lot of people choose otherwise because we're basically kids on this planet. But the guides are always there constantly. And then you have the little higher frequency beings that have different plans with you and say like your family. They look after the collective. Then there are even more higher frequency beings that look after your family and your community. And so everyone has like different guides and
Hierarchy
higher,
of
yeah.
hierarchy.
So it's not hierarchy, they have different jobs.
Okay.
Okay. So when you call on angels, they are basically higher frequency beings that are ready to do whatever you want them to do. So if you're looking for help, if you're looking for, say, certain information, they are the ones who will get it to you through either someone else, or
They'll
through
try to
like
help
a,
you to
yeah,
find your answer.
true.
And what about the ghost?
The ghosts are, like I said, human spirits who somehow don't know that they've passed on. They get stuck. Like sometimes, usually it happens with ghosts who have traumatic deaths, like accidents or murders, or suddenly they decide to kill themselves, and in the last moment they don't want to, but
But
it's
they
too
have
late.
too done. Yeah, the
Yeah,
deed is done.
yeah.
Oh wow.
So then they get stuck because they are confused and they don't know that they can go into the afterlife. And some of them who believe in heaven and hell, they get stuck in a loop in their minds. So, say for example, if I've been a bad person and when I die, I'm thinking, oh, I'm going to hell, I'm going to hell. The moment I pass, I'm going to start seeing hell all
That's how you
around me.
perceive it. Yes.
Yeah. And then I feel like I'm stuck in hell, but actually I'm not. I'm just still stuck in my
It.
mind. So until I realize this is my imagination, I'm making this happen, that is when the light opens and you can go through.
Sometimes, like I remember being called up to a hypnosis, a group hypnosis session on I think it was a cruise liner or something. And then this gentleman said, you're sleeping. And I felt like I was just playing with him. I mean, I'm just helping him to do a good job on stage. And I was pretending, I was not sleepy at all. And then he asked me some questions and I answered. And I felt this all a drama. I mean, I was just being a role model, a play. And people clapped and all that. So I was skeptic. How do you handle skepticism in your field? That many people might not want to believe you.
Yes, and I get a lot of skeptics who come and test me in my sessions as well. So, when you were like probably another 10, 20 years ago, the DNA system that we have, which everyone says it's a two-stranded DNA, but we actually have 12 to 24 stranded DNA. And in this human bodies, we can actually activate 12 stranded DNAs. So what's happening because of the transition, we're going from Kali Yuga to Satya Yuga, a lot of changes are happening in our physical bodies as well. So the ringing in your ears, the feeling of heaviness on your head, even if you're not stressed about anything, having this feeling of knowing things before they happen, they're all amping up. They're basically activating your light body, and that means your DNA is also getting activated. The dormant DNA or the useless DNA, like the scientists like to call them, they're being activated. So when that happens, you are no longer going into somnambulistic states where you're completely out and you don't remember anything that's happened, especially during hypnosis. Each of my clients now can remember the entire process of hypnosis, and they ask me the same thing. They say, I think I made stuff up. And I'm like, oh, that's brilliant.
You mean
Just
everybody
make,
has this?
yeah.
Wow.
And then I tell them, do one thing, just make up some story and tell me right now. And then they're like, I said, no, you can't. You can't do that because you need time. You need to think of
To become more
something.
creative to do that.
Yeah, and then you will try to connect the dots, and it's going to take a little longer. But when I'm asking you a question in under hypnosis, are you a man or a woman? You're immediately saying I'm a woman. I'm this height and this this young, and I have this colored skin and hair. How are you saying that without a break? Like you're just and then you're like, I'm seeing this, I'm seeing that, and I tell them, keep talking, keep talking. So I encourage my clients to talk as much as possible and as much in detail as possible, so that they don't give their conscious mind
Time
a
to make up.
time, yeah, to make stuff up or to use their imagination. There was a client of mine who started seeing herself in a cartoon planet. She says, everywhere I look, everyone is like in Walt Disney cartoon. And I was fascinated by that because I never had a client going into a cartoon planet before. So I said, okay, keep going. And then she says, oh, I'm wearing this dress and it looks very 2D, it's not even 3D, and then it was very fascinating for me. But the information she received from that lifetime was interesting. I've had clients going into other planets, being other species. In fact, my own hypnosis session, I've seen myself as an alien, and I was so shocked, and I was like looking at my hands like this, and I was like, this is not normal. Like, I only have three fingers on my hands. So it's possible to feel like you've made stuff up, like that you're imagining it. But I bet you're not that creative, right? So when immediately I asked my client, I said, "Oh, that's wonderful that you think that you're making it up. So can you tell me another story now?" And then they're stumped. They're like, "I can't." And then I said, "When you do receive that information, how do you feel in your body?" And they tell me it's so vivid. It feels like I'm there.
Yeah,
I'm having that experience. And you don't have such experiences if you're making up stories in your head, right?
very
So
true.
this is a way to make out that difference, that whether you're in hypnosis or not. Hypnosis is not something where you go into a deep trance-like state and you don't remember anything. It's basically your body and mind going into such deep states of relaxation that you have access to your subconscious mind. So you could be aware you're lying on that bed, you could be aware you're talking to me during the hypnosis, but your mind is giving you information so rapidly you don't know where it's coming
Coming
from.
from.
So if I were to just ask you to just close your eyes right now and imagine yourself in a busy street corner, you will immediately be in a busy street corner without wondering if it is New York or Calcutta or just down the road. You will just pop there, and that is your subconscious taking you to a place in your memory or perhaps in your imagination that you need to go to receive the information that is good for you.
The mind is like a gymnasium, and it is the only organ or only thing that doesn't come with a user manual. So you buy anything, you buy a watch, everything comes with how to
Yes.
use. But with the mind is there. That's it. Mind it. Okay. So how we actually push our consciousness in our mind is controlled, and it's controlled maybe by us. So in this thing, I would like to ask about dreams.
Yes.
Many of us wake up, like I can remember vividly my dreams. But many people say, yeah, I had some dream, I'm not something I couldn't remember. Why does that happen? Some people remember their dreams so vividly, some people
Yes.
don't. Why?
So that is because they are not training themselves to remember it. Okay. So as psychics, and if you are innately psychic or you've had psychic lifetimes, remembering your dreams is like part and parcel of your life. So when you and I remember our dreams so vividly, it's because we have trained ourselves in other lifetimes to remember dreams. And dreams are nothing but projections into other dimensions and other timelines, which allows us to process information that's happening in our current lifetime. Okay, that is the psychology part of it. But from a spiritual perspective, you are basically projecting your astral bodies into other dimensions and timelines, because your soul doesn't need rest. It's your physical body and your brain that needs
Needs
most of
that
the
rest.
rest.
Very true.
So when you're like projecting into other realms, you are experiencing that realm as well. And if you are someone who is beginning to wake up spiritually, or if you have been a psychic in other lifetimes, you will have really vivid dreams, because it's like living and coming back. And sometimes when you wake up, you're so tired, you're like, oh my god, I don't think I've
Yes,
slept.
I've gone through this.
Yeah, and there are times when during astral travels, sometimes you might hurt yourself, and then you wake up with a bruise on your hand or
True.
on wherever it is. So that is confirmation that you have actually projected your energy somewhere else, and when you brought it back, you brought back that pain and the bruise on your hand as well. Or
Very true.
during pandemic, we were, when I say we, I'm talking about my guides as well, but also a lot of spiritual beings across the world were tasked with an astral war. So there was a war going on between the malevolent spirits, or the beings that didn't want us to progress, and we were called on to as support. And I was surprised, because I thought of myself as someone who helped others heal. But when they called on to me and I had to go, I woke up every single day with cuts and bruises on my
Somebody
hands.
hurt you.
Yeah, so it felt like I was in a boxing match. And I woke up with all of these bruises, and I thought, this is strange. Like, is something wrong with my body? Because my conscious mind couldn't relate to that, even though, I am a woo woo
But you
person.
tend to
And
feel very drained when those days when you have those cuts.
yes, and then I spoke to my other friends across the world who are also, spiritual beings, and they all had the same experiences. And that's when somebody channeled information and said that this is because of the war. We're being called to, defend our light, and I was like, okay, this is for me. Even though I am a spiritual person and I have all of these experience, I try to keep my mind open and a little skepticism alive, so that I weigh in when it's necessary and I don't completely go the other way, because some people find it difficult to understand.
Yes,
And if I am giving into the spiritual side completely, then I will not be able to make logical sense
balance.
to you.
Very true. Now tell me something. When you heal with your mind, soul, and heart. It's very creative imagination. How do you take care of yourself? I mean, you're met with by a very weak person, and in trying to strengthen that person, you actually drain your strength
Yes.
also. How do you take self care?
So I have my guides to thank for that, because initially I didn't understand how to deal with people and their emotions, because I was an empath. I still am, but I now know how to control that. Initially, I would just absorb their feelings and make it mine, and I would feel miserable for days after.
Yeah.
But then I started creating this energy field around me that allowed me to receive the information but not the emotions. So I would listen without any bias or judgment, but still not feel the emotion, because if I felt the emotion, I would obviously become more biased, right? So I would practice that. And if there are people who have negative energies attached to them, or they're very negative people, or they probably are vampires, who drain your
Yeah,
energies,
very true.
you will not know that. So the moment they come in, my guides immediately shield me, and I can feel like a heat going off. And sometimes I also feel the presence of Ma Kali and Durga, like they just, because for them I'm very important, and they have kind of primed my body in a way so that I can channel them. So they don't want anything to kind of,
Push you back.
yeah, like infiltrate that. So immediately there's like a protection going off. All of my life, when I had all of these experiences with spirits on the other side, and there are sometimes spirits that wanted my help so desperately that they were after me, and it would happen everywhere. Like even when I traveled, like I was in Pondicherry once in Auroville Ashram, once when an incident happened like that, and I just couldn't shake that spirit from letting me go. And he was right there, and he was just like, I need to talk to you, I need to, like, you need to help me. And it was a very dark energy, because he was stuck for so long. And most of these dark energies or angry spirits are all humans who, over a period of time, like say a decade or two, because they can't communicate with the living, they get angrier and angrier, and their
Yeah,
energy gets darker.
negative. Yeah, yeah.
So if you encounter anything like that, like an angry dark spirit, just say, just talk,
Keep
just
her.
come down and talk to me in your human level. Just don't get scared,
Right.
because the moment you get scared, you are engaging with that energy, and you're giving it fuel, right? The only way to not fuel that energy is by being in your power and understanding that because you have a body, you're more powerful than them.
Very true.
They can't influence you unless you allow them to.
Tell me, sometimes when you feel a sudden chill in the room, and I don't know whether everybody goes through it. You feel like someone's sitting on you. They're not
Yes,
letting you move, and you want to shake, and you know that you're not asleep. I don't know, I feel it. So I don't know. You must, is it
I've had an
something?
experience like that as
You
well.
know that it's not a good person. Whoever's on you,
Yes,
you want to get out, and you feel like you can't breathe, and it
yeah,
passes. It passes.
yes,
But for that one moment, you're shaken. What is
yes.
that?
So the technical term is sleep paralysis, and that is what everyone uses. But what experience you're talking about is a spirit trying to get your attention. And I've already told you this many times before, you are psychic and you do have certain abilities. And when a spirit is trying to reach out to you and get your attention, and it's urgent for them, because maybe you're leaving that space and going away to another location, or for them that's the only time that they have, and they gathered or mustered up all of that energy to make themselves known, because it's very draining for the spirits also to manifest themselves. And when they gather all that energy to manifest for those few moments, you can probably feel them physically, like tangibly. They can touch you, they can sit
You
on
feel
you.
like you're gripped by somebody.
Yes.
Okay.
And especially like when you're lying down flat and they are on you, it's like they're pinning you down and you
Down.
can't move. And it's very easy for us to go into panic mode at that time. We
Yes.
immediately go into panic mode and we're like, oh my God, oh my God. And nothing comes out. Like, even if you
You know,
want
you
to,
get anxious.
yeah, and even if you want to say something or
The words
speak,
don't come.
nothing comes. So at that moment, you just have to remember that you are in power, not the spirit, and you have to just calm down and say, get off. Just that. You have to command the entity to get off of you. Even if you feel like there's an energy around you that's spooking you out, just say, get out of my house. You're not welcome here. The more in command you are, the more they will listen to you. But if you say, please leave, I'm getting scared, that's the energy that they want from you. They want you to
They
get
want to
scared.
control you.
Yeah. So they feed off of that. That's what's keeping them alive.
Yeah. See, when people are going through trauma, bad health, or when they come to you, it's very difficult. It's like going to a psychiatrist. You know, people think I'm mad, that's why I'm going to a psychiatrist. It takes them a lot of courage because they know that you can read them. How do you deal when the patient comes to you? How do you, I mean, do you see the aura of the patient, or do you know that this person will be like this?
So sometimes it's quite obvious, because they tell me, like, I don't know if I have that face, but usually whenever people see me, they tend to tell me all of the problems that they have. And they find it very comfortable because I think they sense that I don't judge. There is no sense of judgment. I've heard things before. It's nothing new. Anything you're going to tell me is not going to be new information for me. And because I come from that non-judgmental space, they find it very easy for them to unwrap all of their issues. But sometimes what happens is, recently I've had a difficult client who was telling me he wanted to change, who was telling me all the right things that I wanted to hear as a
But he
therapist.
didn't mean it.
But I was seeing that this is not what he wants. He wants to play the victim. He wants to get that attention from his,
Narcissist.
yeah. So there is a sociopathic tendency that he had, and I found that, very difficult to deal with, because for sociopaths nothing goes through them. Like, you cannot make sense to them. Like, no matter how much
They
logic you
never know
use.
that they're wrong. They're always right.
Yes. So, but I'm a person or a practitioner who does not sugarcoat or tell you sweetly, oh, sorry, sweetie, you're going through this. I will tell you you're playing the victim.
Yeah.
I will call you out on your bluff. I'll say, look, if you're going to do this, I will not be able to help you. If you want to change, you have to do the work. And it's not something that it's like a light switch, you turn it on and it's all gone. You need to do the work consistently over a period of time, and you have to continue that throughout your life. Healing is not a process that happens in a few days. It's a process that continues to happen throughout your life, especially when you have released something from your life. Say an experience has happened that tainted you in some way. You worked on releasing it. Now it is upon you to choose to be in that positive state every single day. So if another incident like that comes your way, you will become more aware, and you then get to choose whether you want to go through that experience again,
Move
or
away
choose
from.
wisely and choose differently. So that is the experience that that I tell my clients that they need to have. So when I see the client, I will know whether I can work with them or not.
When you say
Usually,
work with them, sorry, I'm interrupting. What is the methodology? I mean, normally for your meditational techniques.
so most of the clients who come to me are seeking some sort of clarity, some sort of information. So I usually use the Akashic Records for them, where I give them information about their soul's journey and how they are supposed to choose to create the life they want. The Akashic Records are very neutral. It's a neutral modality because it doesn't tell you should do this or you should not do that. It gives you the information so that you can choose better for yourself. So when you go from that perspective, the client then understands what they need to do, and then the onus is on them whether they want to take that information and change. The next step is the transcendental healing part, where they choose to work on releasing all those limitations that they've placed on themselves from a subconscious level. Because consciously you can only do so much. At a subconscious level and at a physical body level, you store information in your cells. So even if you worked on your mind, your body is still holding on to the trauma. So to release the trauma from your physical body, the hypnosis helps. So the going into other lifetimes and connecting with your guides on the other side, the spirit releasement technique, the entities attached to their auric fields, balancing out their chakras, and then going into your soul's blueprint station to deactivate certain qualities or activate certain qualities. This all helps in the overall healing process. So every client, I need to listen to their story first to see what works for them. So I can't just tell them to choose because they don't know what they want. And sometimes it's confusing. They're like, oh, do I choose this? Do I choose that? What is good for
So
me?
you choose for them.
So I hear them out and I give them the options. I tell them, depending on what you want to work on right now, we can probably do this. Maybe having this information will help you make a better choice of what you want to do next. Because my transcendental healing therapy sessions are quite expensive. So it's an investment that the client needs to make in healing themselves. It's like you go to a doctor and the doctor says you take this medication. You might take it if it's serious. If your health if it is not, you might just take it for a day or two and then just let go of it. But if a person is seriously invested in making the changes to their physical bodies or their mental bodies, then they will make that investment, and because they made that investment, they will follow through with it.
Tell me, how long does a session last?
It depends on what they're choosing to do. An Akashic Record sessions can be anywhere from 30 minutes to 1 hour. For the hypnosis processes, though, at least minimum of 4 hours. Then I also have quantum jumping sessions where you can change your reality. That is about an hour session. So it depends. Like if I'm doing a group session, it's still an hour, but personalized sessions can be a little longer, because it depends on what exactly you want to change in your life. And I've had great success with this because recently an investment banker, she had come and said like, my money is stuck and I'm not getting the money back no matter what I try. So we did a quantum jump session where she saw that her life is all good, money is flowing to her without any blocks. And within a few weeks, she calls up and she says, all of that came back.
Wow.
All the money came back to me. So it was very interesting to see how just by altering your perspective on how to live your life can change so much for you.
Positive energy. How do people reach you, Teja?
I have a website, tejapriyadarshini.com. They can reach me on that. I have a YouTube and Instagram channel as well. All the information is anyway on my website. They can directly message me on my website itself if they want to reach me.
See, you started with experiences. At the age of 6, you saw a ghost of your grandfather. Do you have to have necessarily that kind of spiritual consciousness to become a healer? Or can we learn? Is there a process of teaching somebody to become a healer?
You don't need to have any of these psychic abilities activated if you want to come and learn. I teach Akashic Records for people who think they're not psychic, but by the end of the course, they're like, I didn't know I had all of these abilities. So everyone has these abilities, we just don't know how to access them. And my job is to teach you how to access it. So through Akashic Records, you learn to activate all of your psychic abilities. When I teach the transcendental healing therapies, you're learning how to guide a person through the healing process. So you are not the healer. You're just guiding the person, the client, in a certain way by accessing your own higher consciousness and your guides, and you're activating with their guides, the client's higher self, and you're kind of doing the process of holding space and also asking the right questions for the client to do the healing themselves.
Tell me, impact of technology. See, I know somebody who says that he can read the aura by a Healy machine.
Yes.
So I mean, depending on what light they see, they say that you have to heal this part. They can heal you with a machine.
Yes.
That is like they're trying to replace the human element. So what do you think about the machine and the artificial intelligence coming into your space?
So the Healy is a very useful tool, I would say. The aura is something that is not the same all the time. Like right now, I can see a blue aura around you, but it doesn't have to necessarily be blue around you all the time. It can change to green, yellow, depending on the emotions that you have. If I'm sending you energy, then your aura will start turning white. Because the energy of the purest photonic light is silvery white.
What is blue?
So it's the emotions that you are having. Probably you're feeling a bit tired now, or if you're feeling, say, emotional about something, you're connected to this interview, and that can also show up as blue.
As an emotion.
But it's also parts of your aura that are blue. It's not all of your aura. So when you're connecting with the aura, you have to understand that people's emotions change very, very quickly.
Correct.
It's not the same. So if you are, say, meditating, your aura could be a violet color or a pink color depending on the feeling you're having during the meditation. But say if you're angry, it could turn darker colors or murkier, and it can make you feel heavy. So if you want to kind of clear out your aura, the easiest way is to do is chanting Om.
Okay.
When you chant Om about 9 times or 12 times, depending on how many
and
times
how
you
do
want
you
to do
do
it.
it? How do you breathe when you chant it?
So you take a deep breath in, and then on the exhale, you start saying Om, and you kind of stretch
Extend
that,
it.
as much as you can till all of your breath is out, and then you again take a deep breath, and then so it's just the vibration of that the word Om will clear out your auric fields and energize your body as well. So minimum of 9 to 21 times, if you can do this every day, it will also create like a protective field around you, which will not allow these negative forces to interfere. So that is the easiest way to clear your aura. Then you can also sage. You can use sage. You can use karpur, to clean your space or even your auric fields. There are many different ways of clearing your aura, and depending on that, your aura can change colors. It's what you're feeling and what you're experiencing. If you feel more connected to the divine, your aura is more expanded. In fact, I have these copper rods, which are like in the shape of an L, which can tell you how far your aura is extended. And when you have technology on you, like like a phone or something like that, your aura shrinks because the technology on your
It's
body,
absorbing everything. Wow.
electromagnetic frequency interruptions happen. So your electromagnetic or bioenergetic fields are getting dampened by the radiation from the phone.
So it's not good to carry your phone all the time.
No, it's not. Even a watch, like
Yeah.
even a lot of people wear these, Fitbits and Apple watches.
Yeah.
They're all contributing to the negative energy in your body. So you might feel tired faster, or you might feel brain fog coming on. So it depends on the technology. So coming to Healy, so every time the Healy checks the auric field, the colors will keep changing. It's not going to be the same, but it does give you information on what to work on. So in that way, the healer or the practitioner has that information to work on or to help the client work on those particular aspects.
Thanks. In parting from this room, what is there anything that you would like to tell to especially the younger people in the audience? See, today in a very fast-paced rat race, children have mental problems. Some of us have very low self-esteem. Some of us are actually staring at dark spaces. No support from homes, double income parents and no time. So the younger generation is actually going through a really rough patch. So, if there's anything that you would like to leave as, maybe how they can take care of themselves?
This question is something that we've been meaning to ask and answer for a very long time. The connection is what that is missing amongst young people now, where they feel very disconnected, not just from their environments and from the people who are bringing them up, but also from themselves. They feel lost, misguided, and potentially seeking connection from technology because that is all they can understand at the moment. We encourage people to connect more with the nature around them, to look up from their phones, from their laptops, and to reconnect with the world that is around them, feel physical contact, because that is missing quite a bit amongst youngsters nowadays. Very few parents are taking the time to hug their children and tell them they love them and how much they appreciate them. The communication is very important, and for parents, we want you to understand that your life, no matter how much you run behind the things that you want to achieve to have a better life, in essence, you will receive all of that if you simply have fun doing it. The more fun you have in life, the easier it is for you to increase your vibrational frequency to get all of the things that you want in your life, including money, fame, success, anything that you are looking for will be yours. The more you have fun, feel more connected with yourself and the people around you. It is all about physical intimacy through human emotions, connecting with one another, connecting with the nature that is around you. Important to use technology only when needed, but not let it dominate and become a part of your life in a way that would interrupt the bioenergetic fields and interrupt the signals that you're receiving from us, because if you can't hear your own intuition and connect with us, you will be lost, feeling disconnected from anything and everything around you. Does that make sense?
It does perfectly. And I hope for all our listeners who are watching, this is not a typical episode from a podcast. This is actually a story in going inwards. So every time we try to get information and expand our mind, what are we doing? We're actually trying to understand ourselves. Today, it's very clear it's not about the body, it's about the soul, the mind, it's about you inside. So, having Teja, having you in this room, there's such a positive aura. And I also learned a lesson that age is not the barrier. uh, Clairvoyants like you who come with so much of spiritual essence come with beautiful lessons from your past births. And right now as you sit here, you are the teacher, and I wish you all the best. And as you go forward, may people recognize that there are people, angels on earth, who can touch us and heal us. I wish you all the best, and thank you for being with me, Namma, today.
Thank you so much for having me.
And I have a small little cup that I would like to give.
Oh, thank you so much. With love and appreciation.
Da-da.